Hey, what's happening, family? It's your man Mark Black. Welcome to the first Sucka-Free Saturday of 2020. I am beyond pleased to greet all of you. I hope that you are so far having a great weekend. I know there's a lot of stuff going on, and so we're going to talk about some of it, and we're also going to talk about some things that I think will be helpful for us to remain mindful of moving forward, especially in light of some recent circumstances that are going on. So, first and foremost, before we even get started, I have to do a few things. Um, I don't regularly do this, but there are those of you who have contributed to my work via Cash App as well as PayPal. I see you. The only reason why I don't mention you is because a lot of you have to give your government names, and I want to show you your respect and not throw your names out there. But I definitely appreciate the support. I definitely see it. I always make it a point to try and reply to you as I'm able. And so I wanted to give you guys an extra special shout out because you don't really get recognized during the broadcast, I always point in the wrong direction down in the area for the super chat. So I just wanted to throw that out there really quickly. Also, too, family, I'm going to be referencing a lot of material during this broadcast. I'm not going to make this a long broadcast, but it's going to be dense. So, with that in mind, I put links in the comment section, not just in the description field. There's always links in the description field for various things. But for this broadcast, I put links in the comments of this video. So make sure that when this video is done, you access those links to get access to those resources that I'm going to mention specifically during this broadcast. And also pay attention to the chat as well, because I will be popping in links into the chat for you to review some of the information that I'm going to be giving during the broadcast today. So without further ado, as per usual, let me greet everyone. Darker Visions is in the house with his Moscow Mule. I see you, fam. Miss Rab is in the house. Shalom to you. Cool Unc is in the house. Peace, fam. Sister Hattie's in the house. Namaste to my brother John. Salaam alaikum. Oh, I'm sorry. Wa alaikum assalam. Adrian, welcome to the broadcast. Sister Toolbox, namaste to you. Brother Monty, what up, fam? What it do? Sister Joyce is in the house. What it do, sister? Remember, fam, if you're new to the channel, I picked up a lot of followers from Twitter this week, and I hope some of them will get a chance to come and watch this broadcast to see what it is that I talk about and what I do. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Please join us. Become an angry black sheep. We would love to have you. But if you are here, you don't have to participate in the chat. Right. But we do ask that you pop your name in just so we can show you some love and shout you out for your time, your support, and so on and so forth. All right. As you all know, Thursday in Iraq, President Trump authorized a drone strike on a one Qasem Soleimani. Now, Qasem Soleimani was the equivalent of the head of the CIA and the Secretary of Defense here in the United States. So essentially, whether you think it was lawful or not, Donald Trump authorized the assassination of a very, very, very high-ranking Iranian official in Baghdad at Baghdad airport as of Thursday. Now, this, of course, was reported to us via the Pale Stream media as an attempt to stave off an imminent attack that General Soleimani, as well as others, were allegedly planning against American targets, American servicemen, and so on and so forth. I am not going to argue with anybody as to the rightness or wrongness of it, the validity of it. It was done, right? We as black folk never get a say in any of this shit that occurs, yet we face the consequences of it just as everyone else does, right? And that is going to be part of what we talk about today. Now, I will say that this action, by the way, shalom to my brother Tazaba. Welcome to the broadcast. I will say, fam, that this is something on a whole different level, fam. You have to understand that we talk about white folks and we say the savages and this, that, and the third, and a lot of that is true. We've got our own historical issues with our fellow white citizens and whiteness in general across the globe, right? But that being said, there are rules that they normally utilize to engage with shit, to at least give them the veneer of justification for doing certain things, right? I am a military veteran, and as a military veteran, I was bound by the Geneva Conventions governing war, right? There were certain actions I could not take, certain things. Shout out to my beloved sister, Miss Kwame, by the way. Welcome to the broadcast. There were certain things that I was personally liable for, right? In the case of war, these acts, should I have committed them, would have made me eligible to be tried as a war criminal, right? For crimes against humanity. There are rules of engagement. Shout out to Sister Alma, by the way. Welcome to the broadcast. Shout out to Mingo, by the way, as well. But what happened in Baghdad Thursday night changes everything. Kind of one of the rules that most combatants operate under is that certain high-level targets are not to be messed with, right? Like, for example, in most circumstances, but combat between nation states, there has to be a government that can either surrender, capitulate, negotiate, so on and so forth. So taking out like the president of a particular country or the prime minister of a particular country is just not done, right? Military people aren't off limits. However, when those military people might operate under some civilian capacity, such as General Soleimani, it's a gray area, one of which hasn't really been breached in modern day time until this past Thursday. And we need to talk about what this actually means, right? Because there's a lot of people that are, talking heads that have a whole host of things to say about what the future holds, at this, that, and the third. The truth is that none of us knows. But we can extrapolate based off of available history, available data, what's likely to be occurring in the near and in the longer term future. Now, fam, a lot of us would not be, it's not bad that many of us aren't familiar with Iran, the country, with Islam, especially the Shia branch of Islam, right? You would be excused if you were unfamiliar with all of the stuff that I'm going to kind of mention. Now, I did a poll where I asked whether or not this should be a subject to talk about, and the poll overwhelmingly said that I should do a live broadcast discussing this matter in some detail. But there was enough people that said, hey, maybe you should keep that, for a Patreon video, that I am going to also do a Patreon video that goes into more detail about Iran specifically, because in this broadcast, I'm going to talk about the incident that happened in Baghdad, the ramifications and all of it. But I'm going to talk more about what we need to be doing, what we need to do, right? So in order to truly understand what's going to come down the pike from Iran, we need to understand, to an extent, the Iranians' history with America. Now, as you all well know, fam, America has not been innocent in its interactions with Iran. Here's a link to NPR where they discuss the CIA's backing and the initiation and the overthrow of a democratically elected leader of Iran, Mohammad Mossadegh, back in the 1950s, right? Iran, under the Mossadegh regime, was looking to modernize, to become very liberal, secular. Mossadegh did have some pull with the clerics, but they were, for the most part, willing to support his regime, right? His government, not regime, his government, right? The duly elected democratic government of Iran. Well, the CIA, due to the fact that Mossadegh made overtures to the Soviet Union and also wanted to nationalize the oil industry and stuff like that, the CIA performed a coup and, using the military apparatus of Iran, overthrew Mossadegh and installed Shah Pahlavi, the king of Iran. Mossadegh was tried and found guilty of treason and sentenced to house arrest. He served 3 years in prison and it was on house arrest for the rest of his life. He ultimately died in 1967. Meanwhile, Shah Pahlavi gave carte blanche to both British interests as well as United States interests to come in and access resources, this, that, and the third. Shah Pahlavi was hugely unpopular with the Iranian people. And so he had to succumb to oppression of Iranians. There was a secret police force under the Shah called Savak. And Savak was basically like the KGB under Russia. The Savak would come and snatch people off the streets, take them to black sites, torture them, extrajudicial executions, the whole 9 yards, right? So the clerics, the Shia clerics, were strongly against the Shah and his government. And a very famous cleric that we now know by the title Ayatollah Khomeini was exiled to the West because he was agitating for the removal of the Shah from the throne. In 1979 or so, as a part of the overthrow of the Shah and the removal of the corrupt government of the Shah, a group of Iranian students took American embassy hostage, right? They took everybody in the embassy hostage. And of course, as we all know, Ayatollah Khomeini returned to Iran, taking leadership as the supreme leader of Iran, at which point the theocracy that we now know as the Republic of Iran came into being, right? So essentially, Iran has been hostile to us ever since then, right? They had not forgotten what happened when Mossadegh was deposed, right? Now, people mentioned that they let black people go when they took over the embassy. Do you know why they let black people go, family? Because part of the reason why they took over the embassy was to have negotiating position, right? Iran is much smaller than America. They knew they couldn't win in open conflict, right? So they used asymmetrical warfare. They took a key position and then held hostages to try to negotiate different terms and things like that. Now, we were released because, simply put, we're of no value to America. For all of you black folk out there that said, oh yeah, if Iran comes here, they ain't gonna do nothing bad to, niggas because, they let us go. No, they understood what side their bread is buttered on. We mean nothing to America. They couldn't use us as bargaining chips. And there are specific rules of war, of engagement, that preclude them utilizing women as pawns or tools of war. So they release the women and they release black folk. There was no leverage by holding us. America wouldn't give a shit. I want you to think about that, fam, when you realize that whatever goes down, ultimately your brothers may get caught up in it just like everybody else here in America. I tweeted a tweet on Twitter yesterday where I expressed my disgust with people who were talking about, like women talking about getting pregnant so they could possibly escape a possible draft, even though women are not eligible for the draft. There were men who were talking about dressing up and becoming trans women so that they wouldn't have to go serve and things like that. Let me tell you something, fam. I understand if you're a member of our tribe who have no desire to want to serve this country in combat. But here's the thing, when war comes to you, you don't get a choice, right? You think our brothers and sisters in Tulsa in 1921 had a choice when those white folks attacked the neighborhood? No, they did not. So the ones that were able to get guns stood out there, fought, and died. None of us asked for what happened in Baghdad. None of us asked for Qasem Soleimani to be killed. But even though we didn't ask for it, we are going to likely pay the price for the action that has been committed on them. And unlike most other people, like immigrants who were talking about, oh, it's time to pack my shit and return back to my country, you know, like the runners they are, we don't get the option to run. And I find it disgusting that that could even be a trending thing. That all these people want the cake, right? They want America, the America that my ancestors built, bled, beaten, raped, and died for. They want the goodies when everything is all peaceful and buddy-buddy. But as soon as it's time to turn on the oven to cook the goddamn cake, everybody wants to break camp. Everybody wants to hide. I'm not saying we justified in fighting. Sometimes wars just happen, and sometimes you just get caught up in it. But isn't it fucking interesting, fam, how quickly all these folk turned against our nation, turned against, this is our country, like it or not, this is ours, right? Turned against it. I mean fast, fam, fast. They talking about, oh, I got to go back to Ghana. I got to go back to Nigeria. I got to go back to Mexico. Well, don't let the motherfucking doorknob hit you on the way out. Because, see, nobody understands better than us, the descendants of the enslaved here in the United States, Native Black Americans. Nobody understands better than us that freedom ain't fucking free. We have always had the freedoms that we fought for. Always. We have never gotten any right in this country that we haven't had to fight, bleed, and die for. But you see entire swathes of our so-called fellow citizens, you know, fellow lovers of America, that at the first sign of any ruckus, at the first sign of any trouble, the only thought on their mind is running, breaking camp and running. Let this be a reminder to you, fam, when they tell us that we need to care over much about undocumented immigrants, when we're supposed to care over much about feminism and women's rights. I'm not saying I'm a chauvinist pig, but you don't get to come bitch at me about equal rights and ignore me when I talk to you about equal responsibilities. Just a personal aside, fam, I wanted to share that with y'all. This last few days, I imagine, has been stressful for many of you. And I got some solutions to help, right? But you know what? ADOS proponents and partisans have been making this argument from the beginning. that everybody wants to be an American until it's time to actually be an American, right? We are the only ones that have actually upheld the ideals that America's supposed to stand for. The ideas of fighting for freedom, for justice, for equality. We are the only motherfucking ones. Everybody else, they'll mouth the rhetoric when everything's all gravy. But when the rubber meets the road, this my house. I don't want to have a fight with Iran, but if Iran wants to bring it, I'm not going to shirk from it. I'm not going to run from them. First of all, I got nowhere to run. This is my home. My ancestors' bones are buried here. Where am I going to go? Second of all, this color don't run. It's simple as that. So for all of you who want to, who want all the gravy, but don't want to have to stir none of the flour, right? Who want all the cake, but get scary when the oven gets turned on, take your ass on. We didn't need you anyway. We didn't need you any motherfucking way. Fam, Iran is going to respond. Of that, I have no doubt. Now, I don't share a lot about my religious background, right? I was born into a Christian family. When I grew up, I converted to Islam. I first was Sunni, like the majority of Muslims on the planet Earth. But as I started to study more and more detail, I was convinced of the rightness of the Shia position, right? Or the Shia schools of thought in Islam. And I don't want to go into a lot of detail about the differences between Sunni and Shia. I actually did get some resources here, but I do want to talk about a specific idea in in Shia Islam, right? The history is really simple, fam. Shiites are people who originally descended from the Muslim believers who believed that the nephew and son-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad was supposed to lead the community, the Ummah, right? After the death of the Prophet. And when he was subsequently assassinated, right? I'm talking about Ali, right? Ali, the partisans or the Shia Ali, right, were against the so-called rightly guided leaders or the Khilaf, the Khilafah Rashidun, right? I'm trying my fam. I know so much about this, but I'm trying to make it baseline simple. Essentially, the Shiites believed that the family of the prophet was supposed to lead the community after the death of the prophet. That's the most basic breakdown of the difference between Sunnis and Shia. Now, there are a multitude of differences, fam, that trust me, I could do an entire broadcast on the differences. This is not a religion course. But there is an idea that is extant among Shiites that will play a role, that will play a factor in what comes next. As I was saying, the family of the prophet, according to the Shia, were supposed to rule the community. So when Ali was assassinated, he was considered the first of the imams of the Shiites. An imam in the Shiites, or amongst the Shiites, or the Shia, and an imam amongst Sunnis is different, right? An imam amongst the Sunnis is just somebody who's a member of the Jamaat, a community that is scholarly, that's understanding of the faith, well respected in the community, and thus is the one that kind of leads the community in prayers and teaches and things like that. But the imamate amongst Shia is completely different. The imam is considered to have had the same kind of touch that the prophet had, meaning that when they speak on things of the religion, they are considered to be infallible by the Shia, right? That when they pronounce on things of the faith, they are speaking inspired by God to speak on those things. Ali was the first. He had two sons, Hassan and Hussein. And Hassan was leading the Shia community right after the death of Ali. He was poisoned by, I believe it was Muawiyah. Muawiyah was the man who became Khalif, or the leader of the Muslims, after the death of Ali. He was Umayyad, right, which was a clan there in Arabia, right? The Prophet Muhammad was a member of the Quraysh tribe, and Muawiyah, right, was a member of the Umayyad group. At any rate, Hassan was poisoned under the auspices of Muawiyah, right? His son, when Muawiyah was no longer Khalif, his son Yazid became Khalif of the Muslims. Hussein, after the death of Hassan, became Imam. And the Shia Ali, right, or the people of the followers of the Ahl Bayt, right, the house of the Prophet, encouraged Hussein to take temporal power, right, not just to be a religious force, right, or be a religious leader, but to take temporal power from Yazid, who was horribly corrupt, right? He was a libertine, a drunkard. He even made Hajj drunk, according to all accounts, right? Yazid was a prick, right? And so Hussein was on his way to kind of gather support for himself. And at a place called Karbala, right, Yazid's men surrounded Hussein's household, right? His women, his children, his loyal hangers-on, and so on and so forth. And on the 10th day of Muharram, right? Muharram is a month in the Islamic calendar. They slaughtered Hussein, and they took his family and sold them into slavery. Shia remembered that day every year with the celebration of Ashura. They mourn the martyrdom of Imam Hussein as if it happened yesterday. All loyal, devout Shia do this. Now, why is this important? It's important because the Shia, having been a minority group all throughout the history of Islamic, history, right? Having been persecuted to various extents throughout Sunni-held areas and so on and so forth, have developed this idea that martyrdom is a reflection of holiness. Martyrdom to a Shia is like making it to the big leagues, right? First of all, the Quran says that don't think that people who died in the way of Allah, right, fi sabilillah, are dead. They are not, right? Those who bore witness to the greatness of God via the ultimate sacrifice are not dead, according to Muslims, right? So a martyr is somebody who, in a real sense, but especially to Shia, are still with them, are still alive, right? And because of the persecution that they've experienced, they've elevated martyrdom to a religious point, right? That I can try to explain it to you. I understand it, having been a part of the faith practice, but to try to explain to you the position of martyrdom in the eyes of any Shia is it's like trying to describe Tokyo to you. It's difficult. It's been elevated to a position of a religious doctrine or tenet, right? We saw evidence of what the embracing of martyrdom to be a shaheed, right? Shaheed literally means witness, right? To be a shaheed, we saw elements of that when you saw the Iraq-Iran war. There were entire brigades, entire units of Iranians who would strap explosive devices on themselves and throw their bodies under the tracks of Iraqi tanks just to blow up the tank. And when reports of that behavior came from the battlefield, the family of that person was entitled to compensation, to benefit, and to have the family name, the name of that person honored as shaheed, as a martyr. Iran is filled with people who believe that martyrdom is not only just something that should you end up in a situation, you go for it. Martyrdom is something to be sought after, right? To be able to bear witness, to be able to pay the ultimate sacrifice is one of the highest religious duties of any devout Shia. Should Ayatollah Khamenei, right, the new Ayatollah, right, the current supreme leader of Iran, declare an actual jihad against America for the actions that has been taken against Iran, you have a nation of about 80 million people who will fight, bleed, and die damn nearly down to the last one. And that is just Iran. Don't forget that there are also Shia, a large Shia population in Iraq. There's also a large Shia population in Saudi Arabia. There's also a large Shia population in Yemen. There's also a large Shia population in Lebanon and in Syria. Are you starting to get the picture? There will be repercussions for what was done Thursday. Now, I'm not saying these things to you, family, for you to be fearful, right? The title of this broadcast today is to prepare, because knowledge dispels fear. America has always had a way, fam, of being able to trick us into being scary, right? Oh, they're here to take away our freedoms. You're either with us or you're with the terrorists. America has been one of the greatest fomenters of terrorism on the planet Earth. That doesn't make me hate my country to say that. That's just facts. They've fomented coups in Guatemala, in Iran, in all over Africa, right? I've lost count. Grenada, shit. Where the question at this point isn't who has America fucked over. The question is who hasn't America fucked over. And I don't even want to get into the fact that it seems like now that America is simply a proxy, a cat's paw for Israel's foreign policy. You can't even go there on YouTube. I'm gonna have to do something like that and maybe send it to y'all via email or something like that. I need for you to understand, fam, that fear for us especially is deadly. I'm not saying to not be mindful. What I am saying is that to be fearful doesn't just serve the Iranians and whatever actions it is that they intend to take against us as Americans. It also serves America. They love nothing more than to see black people afraid, black people fearful. Why do you think they've been pressing so hard for us to come out like Jiminy Cricket, like the conscience of America, to decry what happened over it? You all over Twitter, I see people talking about, we need to stand in solidarity with the people of Iraq. For what? Don't get me wrong. I have no desire to see anybody in any country get brutalized or done up. But why the fuck do you need my imprimatur? Why do you need my say-so to be concerned about what's going to happen and what's not going to happen? It's not as if the Palestinians or the Iraqis or anybody else have made it a specific point wherever they are to stand up for me and mine here. And I got too much shit to worry about what's happening here at home for me and myself, my people. I'm not the fucking world's mule, and neither are you, fam. You're not obligated to feel some kind of way because something's happening in a country that happens to have people with a little bit of melanin in their skin. But if you notice, every time there's some fuck shit that go on in America, the first people everybody turns to try to get our say-so on it is us. And woe betide you if you're not towing the party line. Don't you care about people getting bombed and shot and killed in other countries? Hell, I get bombed and shot and killed here. Where the fuck is your outrage? Those people are over there starving and dying. Don't you care? My people over here starving and dying. Where the fuck is the outrage? They got no water. They don't have access to food. They got diseases all over the place. They got Ebola. My people got hookworm. My people get lead poisoning and don't have water to drink. Where the fuck is your outrage? So, excuse the fuck out of me if I actually give more of a fuck about what's happening here with me and mine first before I put on my cape with the big old red, white, and blue stripe down the back and a big B on it for black people and go flying across the motherfucking globe to help somebody else. I'm a bootless man in a country that demands that I'm supposed to pull myself up by my bootstraps, but I'm also somehow supposed to be able to be a war fighter on the front line of injustice across the globe. Miss us with that shit. Miss us with that. It's not, listen, to all of you people that sit here and talk about Black America benefits from white imperialism across the globe, let me tell you something, motherfuckers. It's not as if they come and hold a plebiscite in our communities and say, listen up here, niggers. We're thinking about going over here and bombing the shit out of these brown fuckers, like they just so happen to be sitting on our oil, right? And we just wanted to kind of get an idea of what you guys think about it. They don't even want to talk to us during election campaigns to promise us domestic shit like, healthcare, education, food, jobs. You think they actually do like a poll of black people in the United States asking us whether we want a war in Iraq, or we want to see somebody get bombed in Libya, or we want to see anybody get shot. We the last motherfuckers they ask. Matter of fact, they never get around to asking us. The first time we as black Americans hear about this shit is the same time all the rest of you hear about it, after it's a done deal, a fait accompli. So tell me again why we're supposed to be lockstep in solidarity with these motherfuckers. Some of these places still got slavery going on, fam. They are literally enslaving people in places like Mauritius, in Libya, and so on and so forth. And I'm supposed to give a fuck about what happens to them? Are you mad? And fam, here's the crazy part. We're not hearing this primarily from white liberals, fam. We got other black folk out here trying to virtue shame us and virtue signaling us to get us to jump on board. Because, these white folks, they mad about this stuff in Iran. You better be mad too, nigga. What? Make this shit make sense. Liberals always finding something to get mad about. I don't give a fuck what they mad about. They didn't give a fuck what happened to Libya when Obama went over there and regime changed Gaddafi. The man was sodomized with a damn knife and killed. They didn't give a fuck then. Why? Because it was their high, holy little progressive, faux progressive black man, their little black puppet that they like. So don't get mad at Trump doing whatever it is he do. Let the governments of the world determine whether or not they found what he did to be justifiable, legal, etc., etc. But that ain't my motherfucking job. I'm not Jiminy Cricket. I'm not the world's conscience. I'm not even America's conscience. I don't think the average white citizen of mine has a conscience. Not after 400 years of fuckery that me and my people have had to face with them. So how you think I can't even argue for them to see the moral justification in doing justice with me and my people, but I'm supposed to somehow convince them that it's just to do right by you? Make that shit make sense. I can't even make moral arguments to America to treat me as a citizen right. But I'm supposed to somehow be able to be here in the belly of the beast and put on my cape and make moral arguments and moral justifications for you. Please. America is going to do, the powers that be in America are going to do whatever it is that they're going to do. And we, like always, will have to go along with the motherfucking flow. We're going to have to find some way to survive it all, just like the people that are over there are going to have to find some way to survive it all. But until they show some solidarity over there for me, don't come looking to me to have anything more than empathy. I empathize with them. I'm sorry that what's happening to them is happening to them. It's fucked up. I have a heart, and that's all I got. I don't have no time. I don't have no resources. I don't have any more moral outrage.
Preach, Brother Black.
Thank you, Sister Toolbox. I will. Somebody got to. Somebody got to tell the truth about this shit. I'm sick of people trying to vote shame us, trying to virtue signal us. Why is it that everybody always trying to tell us what the fuck to think and how to think and what to do? Everybody don't want to hear shit from my people when everything good. As soon as everything goes left, though, as soon as everything goes sideways, though, they want us to be right there at the front line, decrying it all. Oh, Lord, it's so bad what's happening to these people. Why? You're not moved by our entreaties when we ask, no, when we demand justice for ourselves. You're not moved by the entreaties of us when we tell you that our families are being broken up and separated in the prison industrial complex. You're not moved by our entreaties that our families live in the equivalent of third world conditions across much of the Black Belt. You're not moved by our entreaties when we talk about how you use school systems as a prelude to prison. Why? Because it's all right to keep us on the bottom. So damn anybody that's trying to tell you that you're supposed to be mourning and in solidarity and shit. You know what, fam? Let me tell you something. It's not solidarity when it's one way. That's slavery. Right? America would be a whole different country if we were invited to come here and help build it alongside with the natives or white folks and so on and so forth. But we weren't. We were enslaved. We were brought here and enslaved. If every time there's an issue, a moral wrong, an injustice, and you're forced to speak up on it, fam, that's not solidarity. That's slavery. That's a colonizing of your mind. What if you have a particular issue with something that's happened over in Iraq? What if you just don't like Iraqis because you understand their history and you don't give a fuck about them? What? What then? Your opinions, your thought process, your understanding, your education don't count? You're just supposed to set aside everything you know about Arab culture and this, that, and the third, about how while white folks was enslaving black folks in Africa from the West, Arabs was enslaving them from the East. You're supposed to set all that aside and be like, oh, those poor Arab people, fuck them. When they come here, I'm a bead. I'm a bead. I'm a slave. I was in a mosque once and I was praying the noonday prayer. It wasn't my home mosque. It wasn't my Jamaat, right? I was out and about and I wasn't near my mosque, right? So I stopped into this mosque. And this mosque was primarily Middle Eastern / Arab. And so I went, made my ablutions. It was very empty when I was there. It wasn't hardly nobody there. It was maybe 2 or 3 people reading some study materials, some ahadith and stuff like that. So I began to pray. A group of Middle Eastern gentlemen came in and they saw me praying in the front. Now, they didn't do anything. They didn't touch me or anything like that, right? But they came and stood right behind me, like off to my left side. And then I heard one of them refer to me as a slave. So I finished my prayer and I turned around to him and I said, Kusombek your sarmuta, which means basically fuck your mother in Arabic. And I punched him in the fucking face. Was I right? Was I wrong? My Muslim brothers and sisters would say God knows better, right? I didn't stop being a black man, a descendant of my ancestors, based off of what religion I picked or not picked. I didn't stop being a black man based off of my political stances or lack of political stances. I didn't stop. So you got people telling us that it's class warfare all around the world. Well, if you think it's class warfare, take your ass on and go fight. And then when the world reminds you that race exists, keep that same energy. Keep harping on class. Keep touting out Bernie Sanders and the socialists and the left and all this and that and the third. You think it's intersectionality theory? Oh, it's because I'm a woman. Okay, well, go ahead. And then when they remind you that you black, keep that same fucking energy. It wasn't race, remember? It was because you a woman. Because reality got a way of dealing with you. Reality got a way of reminding you just what the truth of matters really are. So, fam, there will be a retaliation. Let me share with you some of the options that Iran has. Iran has a well put together cyber warfare group as a part of their military structure. Be expecting to possibly hear about cyber warfare attacks on banks such as JP Morgan Chase, US Bank, Wells Fargo, etc. They've previously been noted to have attacked banks using cyber warfare. That's problematic, fam. We're going to talk about it during the part where I discuss preparations, right? They can also, and they will, do attacks all over the Middle East, right? Iran's Quds Force, which is their elite kind of warrior groups, are everywhere on the planet. Fam, I feel perfectly comfortable. I'm not saying this because I'm a former co-religionist or whatever the case may be. I just understand geopolitics to some degree. I'm fully comfortable with saying openly that I believe that Iran does have sleeper cells here in the United States of America. These are people that have been as American as apple pie and baseball for decades who are just simply waiting to be activated. Some of them will not heed the call, right? Some of them will, and it only takes one major incident for there to have been an attack here on our soil, right? So that's something to look out for. Iran right now has the capability to shut down the Straits of Hormuz. I don't want to pull a Jason Black, but look it up. Basically, it's the area in the Gulf where ships pass through. They can completely shut down the Straits of Hormuz. That's 20% of the world's oil gone right there. Nobody has access to it. If you think that what we experienced in 2008 is bad, imagine when 20% of the world's oil is just simply unavailable. Watch the prices of oil spike through the roof and all of the products that come from oil, which is your plastics, fertilizers, you name it. Iran can do this today. Moving forward, if we continue to escalate. Oh boy asked, is some of this about oil? No. No, not at all. The United States, for whatever reason, I think personally, I'm just going to say my personal belief, right? Research it for yourself. But I believe personally that this is driven mostly by Israel pressuring the American government to basically try to instigate war with Iran. Israel has attacked Iranian aligned groups such as Hezbollah and so on and so forth. Israel has a huge interest in seeing Iran basically wiped off the map because that would effectively make Israel and the Saudis the powers in the Gulf. Let's just keep it a buck, right? It's about power. It's not about oil. What else is likely to occur? If America does what is normally America's right to do, or I should say their want to do, and escalate this shit further, then it is a distinct possibility that a conventional hot war will break out between Iran and the United States of America. Now, to my brothers out there, should this break out, understand that there won't be a draft right away, but Iran will make America pay in huge amounts of blood. And if there's enough, they may institute a draft. So some of you younger brothers need to start preparing yourselves mentally. Not saying I want you to go, fam, but I don't want you to go to prison either, right? Let's just keep it a buck. Prison is shit, right? That's a fact. Be prepared mentally for that. I haven't even talked about whether or not Russia or China decides to get involved on the side of Iran. They just held joint exercises a couple of weeks ago. China, Iran, and Russia held joint exercises just a little while ago. I believe the draft age, last time I checked, was between 18 and 26, but could be extended up to 45 if needed. Now, I want to get into a different part of the broadcast, fam. I want to talk about, and by the way, shout out to my sister, Seething Sister, who suggested that we talk about this subject today, talk about preparedness. Because, fam, part of the reason why we as black folk always get caught flat-footed when shit like this goes on, right? Why you got black folk embarrassing the fuck out of themselves, writing letters to Iran saying the white folks is over there, don't kill us, is because we're never really prepared for stuff like this when it happens, right? We don't have a preparedness mindset. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I don't think we as a people collectively bear a survival mindset. We survive, but I think a lot of the time we survive in spite of. not because of. And that needs to change. I want to provide you guys with some resources here that will be helpful. I want to, first of all, talk about what constitutes a survival mindset. Shout out to my esteemed elder brother BGS. He is absolutely right. We have a reactive mindset, not a proactive one, right? Now don't get me wrong. I understand gallows humor. Okay. I understand gallows humor, but make no mistake about it. Black folk being known as the face of the jokesters talking about World War III is shameful as fuck to me. I'm sorry. When you look all over social media and we making memes about World War III and joking and laughing and shit, it's far and away embarrassing to me. I'm not arguing no respectability shtick, but I'm just saying, like, damn, you got to wonder if we can find. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand gallows humor. But if we can joke about World War III, what do niggas take seriously? Like, for real, for real. And this comes from this idea that, well, shit, whatever happens, nigga, ain't nothing I can do about it, so. But fam, there is stuff that we can do. There are things that we can do right now. Right now. There are things that we can do right now. We need to talk about the three things, fam. The three things that allows us to cultivate a survival mindset, because everything starts in your mind first. We need to talk about awareness, preparation, and rehearsal. Now let's start with awareness. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, you know that I talked earlier this week about situational awareness. You need to be aware of what's happening around you. When people like BGS, when people like myself, when people like others you know talk about geopolitics, we're not talking about it because we like boring black people. It's not that we're here to bore you or that, we're here to get you off distracted on some other shit. No, geopolitics has just as much of an effect on your daily life as anything else you experience as a descendant of the enslaved here in America. Full stop. The real politic actions taken by Russia, by North Korea, by China, by Japan, by Korea, by Iran, by all of these countries, they will and do every single day affect your black ass. We're not talking just to sound intelligent, just to hear ourselves think. We tell you about these things because these things matter, right? We're sitting here, we were talking about reparations, right? And everybody's talking about, well, where are we going to find the money for reparations? So then Brother Black does a broadcast talking about remittances, $680 billion a year that travels from the United States to foreign nations from foreign nationals who are here on H-1B visas and other means. We talked about foreign aid. Billions of dollars to Nigeria, billions of dollars to Israel, billions of dollars to all these other places. You ask, where's your reparations, fam? It's important you know where the fuck the money's going, is it not? I'll be lucky if I had 500 views on that video talking about where the money's going. But I can talk about Tariq Nasheed and his puppets, and I can talk about Yvette and Tone, and I can talk about PBT and TBA and get 1,000 views. What do we take seriously, fam? What topic will we run across that isn't a fucking joke to us? We need to be aware of what's happening, fam. We need to be aware of what's happening in the world. Not just here, but the globe. And the best part about it is, fam, is that nowadays it's easier than ever to get information. There's Telesur, so you can get information from South America. There's RT, Russia Television, right? You can get information from Russia. There's Al Jazeera. There's, I lost count. Fam, there's so many damn different resources where you can get information. Now, you should cross-reference, right? You should do your due diligence and cross-reference. By the way, peace to all. Let me go back through the chat. Oh boy, Peach, Jay Jermaine's in the house. Sister Sherry, beloved's in the house. DJ's in the house. Producers in the house. John, I did say what's up to you, fam, but welcome again. Yeah, I just want to shout everybody out who showed up for the broadcast. Thank y'all all so much for your time today. Awareness, fam, is the first step to eliminating fear. Let me explain why it's the first step. If you're walking along a path and your path may have traps on it, all right? There may be obstacles or traps on it. All right. Isn't it better that you know that the path that you're walking on has traps or obstacles on it, or to not know? Which one would you prefer? You're walking down a path through a forest. If there are traps or obstacles on it, would you rather know or not know? Pop a 1 in the chat if you'd rather know that there's traps on your trail. Right? That there's traps in your way. Awareness, family, allows you to simply know. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's something you can do about it, right? But you don't know what you can do if you don't know what the fuck is going on, right? America has made it one of its tenets to keep us ignorant of what's happening, not just locally, domestically, regionally, and nationally, but globally, because that makes sure that we're paralyzed with fear. When things occur, we Black folk are the last ones to know. And thus we're the ones who are always caught flat-footed. Because remember, everything in America hinges upon us eating the failure, right? Everybody else can get the scoop, figure out what's going on, make preparations and stuff like that. But it's imperative that we're caught flat, that we're reacting while everybody else is proacting. So awareness is key. The first step, fam, in evading a trap is knowing that the trap is there. But it is not enough to just be aware. You have to prepare. You have to prepare. Now, do me a favor, fam. Pop a 1 in the chat if you're familiar with like preppers. Shalom, Brother Paul, by the way. Welcome to the broadcast, fam. Pop a 1 in the chat if you're familiar with like survivalists, preppers. You know, any of y'all watch this show on what was it? The History Channel, you know, those prepper shows where they show these crazy white folks out there building shacks in the woods and chopping down trees with wood saws and doomsday preppers and all that. Pop a 1 in the chat if you're familiar with all that stuff, right? I see this. There's quite a few. Right? And to a lot of us, this shit is funny as hell. Man, these white folks is crazy. This motherfucker out here building a log cabin out in the woods and this, that, and the third. Man, they crazy. They out here canning choke cherries that they found in the woods. These white folks is nuts. Yeah, they crazy, all right. Like a motherfucking fox. We sit here and laugh at these shows. We laugh at shows like Duck Dynasty, where these motherfuckers is out there on acres of land hunting wild boars and alligators and shit. Look at them crazy little savage redneck crackers. They out there eating everything that don't move. Yet your ass is in the city starving, waiting on your food stamps to come. But you want to laugh at somebody for eating a squirrel. How many of you familiar with Bizarre Foods? Andrew Zimmern. I love that goddamn show myself personally, right? This fool travel all over the world eating the strangest food. Man, I wouldn't eat no bugs. I bet you if your ass was starving, you'd learn how to eat bugs. How many of you know that crickets, other than eggs, is the most bioavailable protein you could possibly get your hands on. 75% of a cricket is protein. And you can farm crickets, billions of crickets on the same land it would take to raise one cow. How many of y'all know about that type of shit? Oh, I'm not saying that everybody wants to eat crickets. I'm not saying I want to eat crickets. But how many of you did you know that? Right? You got black people that say, I'd rather motherfucking starve before I eat a cricket. You will. Remember, it's not what goes into you that defiles you. It's what comes out. If you say you'd rather starve than to eat crickets or eat bugs or eat, weird berries or whatever the case may be, you will. Because see, fam, that mindset right there is the difference between survival and dying. How is it that you can take two people, this person here, person A, person B, put them out in the woods, okay? And they get lost. And person A survives weeks out there, survives, and is found in relatively good condition. Maybe they got an injury or something. Injuries happen, right? Person B is found dead 2 miles away from rescue. What's the difference? They were both in the same environment, had access to the same resources. What was the difference? Do you know ultimately, oftentimes it just comes down to mindset. How many of y'all remember the story of the man who got caught in the rock slide and cut off his motherfucking arm to get out and save himself? That's the difference. That's the difference. Fam, they prepare. They start off preparation mentally, and then they start to prepare actually. Let me share with you, fam, a few resources that I found. Links, by the way, none of these are sponsoring your man, right? But there's links to these books on Amazon in the comments below this video, all right? This resource right here, Passport to Survival, is one of the best books I've ever had the access to read. This is actually written originally by this woman, Esther Dickey. It's updated by her daughter, Rita Bingham. They're Latter-day Saints, Mormons, right? And she put together a guide of 7 things that if you start storing away right now with these 7 things, you could survive. You could feed your family and you could survive. Matter of fact, Brother Black loves you so much. I even went on the LDS website, and here's a link to the ADS guide. This is the church's official guide to preparation. How many of you got blankets, water? 3 types of ways to light a fire. That's a lighter, a fire steel, right? Either flint, fire steel with flint and metal, right? How many of you have extra medicine for your family in case you can't get to the pharmacy, right? If you got family with insulin and so on and so forth, how many of y'all got extra insulin stocked up in the house? Fam, this isn't fear mongering, by the way, fam. I'm not asking you to be afraid of anything. How many of you have the 3 essentials to nutrition in your house? That's beans, grains like wheat, flour, cornmeal, and some sort of thing that you can sprout for vitamin C and things like that. Those 3 things right there, right? The Indians used to plant beans, corn, and squashes. Those 3 things right there will allow you to be able to survive and eat healthy. So Passport to Survival, links in the description. I mean, not the description, the comment section of the video. Here's another one that I loved. I used to be a vegan. I eat meat now, but when I was a vegan, this book right here, you can find this on Amazon too, but I didn't put a link to it because it's kind of expensive now. But this one here teaches you how to make stuff with soybeans, how to make soybean burgers, soy milk, how to make tofu, all of which are high in protein, will keep your ass alive, right? For those of you who are vegan, who don't want to eat meat, who don't want to get caught up eating crickets, I recommend you lay in a store of hard winter wheat in a wheat grinder. You know why? Because then you can take that flour you made, wash the starch out, keep the gluten, and make seitan, wheat meat. You flavor that shit up with some ramen packet noodle seasoning and throw some noodles off in that joint with some dehydrated vegetables and feed your motherfucking family. Black folk, it seems to me, have gotten a little too comfortable, fam. A little too comfortable. Darker Vision said quinoa is a complete protein. So is amaranth. Amaranth is a grain from South America that has a complete protein. I would still supplement with other proteins just to make sure you get enough of your essential proteins. But yeah. How many of you know how to make nut milks? So if you get a bag of walnuts, you can make walnut milk. Or better yet, sprout those walnuts, eat the sprouts for your vitamin C, for some chlorophyll, to help keep your body's immune system up. How many of you know how to take water and purify and filter it? It's not hard. You get water, you store it, you take it, you boil it, take the end off an old pair of pants, tie a knot in it, light a wood fire and save the charcoal, put the charcoal in there with some clean rocks, pour that water through and drink the shit. Fam, preparation is key. Here's another gimme. For those of you who are interested, here's a link directly to the Army Survival Manual, FM3-05.70. This is the updated version of the Army Survival Manual. And everything I just talked about, your tax money paid for. I linked one you can buy. It's a pretty top quality copy of it. But some of you might even be able to get access to that field manual for free. And if you do, I recommend you get it and keep it. And not only get it and keep it, but use it. Because that comes down to the third survival mindset. Rehearsal. Fam, it is not enough to know what's happening and to just lay up a store of goddamn food enough to last a family of 12 for 10 years. If you don't practice it, if you don't rotate out your foodstuffs so that you can always be keeping fresh food in your storage, if you don't learn how to use, tablets, oxygen tablets and Mylar bags to break down your big bags of wheat and corn and stuff like that to store it, if you never do it, right? If you don't practice canning, if you don't practice first aid, splinting a leg, using a tourniquet, doing CPR, you can know all of this stuff, fam. You can know it all. And if you've never done it, when you need to do it, you won't know how to do it. You can read every book Bear Grylls ever done. You could watch every episode of Survivor, man, you've ever seen. And it don't matter if you don't practice it. How many of you know to tell your family to go to a safe place, right? In case of a building fire, right? Let's say that your apartment gets on fire and your apartment's on fire. How many of you know where your family's supposed to meet up in case something happens so that y'all all can be accounted for? If you live on an upper level, how many of you got ladders that you can drape out the window so that you don't have to try to jump out the motherfucking window? You can actually climb out. How many of you got your kids' birth certificates and your birth certificates and your social security number in a little small fireproof box that you could just snatch up and run out of the house? FEMA recommends that you have at least 72 hours of water and nutrition available in case of natural disasters. I live in an area that's earthquake prone, that has volcanoes, tsunamis. I keep blankets, space blankets, and regular blankets in my car. I keep fire starters in my car. I keep food, little food packages in my car. I keep water bottles in my car. You know why? Because what happens if I'm driving somewhere in the wintertime, I get a blowout and I can't get nowhere. I'm going through a mountain pass and I skied off the side of the road and I'm injured. It may be, if there's a snowstorm, it may be days up there before somebody spots my vehicle off the side of the road. If the store closes, which they often do in the cases of power outages, in the cases of cases of natural disasters and shit like that, everybody and their mama's gonna be heading to the store. How many of you got your tools with you? You think you're gonna be able to just go to the store and snatch stuff off the shelves? There's gonna be people there fighting you for that shit. How many of you got your steel, got your tools? I'm not saying, fam, I'm not fear mongering here. I want you to understand me when I'm telling you, I'm not fear mongering you. I'm not even telling you to be wilding out. I'm trying to put something on your mind. I'm trying to make you aware of what you actually can control. So you hear about something that Donald Trump did over in Iraq and you don't understand all the ramifications of it. Cool. You still don't have to be fearful. You've been utilizing the resources that Brother Black shared with you so that you can be able to be prepared. You've got, for her 450-pound bags of beans in your closet, right? That you can sprout and eat the sprouts. You got a 55-gallon water container in your closet. Food grade, of course. Get one of the big blue containers with a pump on it, with a UV lamp that you can stick in there to prevent bacterial growth. So you got water for you and your family. You got antibiotics. Some people suggested in the chat that you could get fish antibiotics. Same antibiotics you could get from the motherfucking pharmacist, but you don't need a prescription. How many of you got a first aid kit? And I'm not talking about that little cheap ass first aid kit you get from the dollar store. I'm talking about with actual bandages, wraps, tape, surgical sutures, forceps, snips. How many of you even know what I'm talking about? I'm not shaming you, fam. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, or I don't want you to feel ashamed. I want you to start thinking with a survival mindset, a warrior mindset. I don't care who the fuck gets bombed. I don't care who gets assassinated. I want us to be prepared. I want us to be prepared for anything that comes down the pike. Crackers lose their mind tomorrow. I want us to be prepared. And if you can't do it by yourself, fam, the best part about preparedness is that it's actually better done in groups. Get together with your friends and family in your community, and y'all all put up $100 every couple of months. And then y'all travel in a caravan to go pick up bags of winter wheat, hard winter wheat, right? You pick up bags of navy beans. You pick up bags of cornmeal. You get bags of non-fat dry milk. You can make cheese with non-fat dry milk. You can make butter to a certain extent. It's not a lot of fat in non-fat milk, but you can make butter from non-fat milk. Pick up big ass containers of vegetable oil. and just start storing it aside. So if some fuckery happened that might affect the whole community, all of y'all are straight. Y'all don't have to broadcast the shit and tell nobody. You know what I'm saying? Alma said, join a CERT. I'm tired, family, of y'all being so fearful, so afraid. You don't have to be afraid. Get the skills. Understand what's happening, what's going on. Prepare and practice. Take your look, I have practice in my house. I'll give you an example. I'm a firearms owner. All of you know this, right? It's all legal, so don't start tripping that, oh, they're going to send the militia to Brother Black House and arrest him. No, it's above board. I'm legal, right? I'm a firearm owner. When I'm out and about with my family, I got them trained, every single one, that if I give a certain command, they do not ask any questions. They hit the ground. So when I issue that command to them in a tone of voice, a certain tone of voice, and we've gone over this command over and over and over, when they hear it, don't think, don't run, drop. So that should I need to engage somebody, I don't have to worry about hitting my family. I'll never forget what happened in Katrina. Our brothers and sisters down there in the 9th Ward, those that didn't drown, getting shot by people because they was looting, because they wasn't prepared. And fam, don't think you got to be one of these rich white folks and have 50 acres of land and this, that, and the third to just do basic preparedness for yourself. You don't. Your man Mark Black is unemployed. My wife works in an office. It's about the mindset. If you have the willingness to understand what's happening around you, situational awareness, know what's happening in your community, who's the good folk and who's the bad folk here. Know what areas are safe to go in and walk in and what areas aren't. Learn what's happening in your state. Learn what natural disasters your area is prone to, whether you live in Tornado Alley or Hurricane Alley, or you live in a place where there's volcanoes and earthquakes and tsunamis like I do. Get involved with disaster preparedness groups, right? The Mormons will talk to anybody. If you go and show them that you're interested in learning how to prepare and stuff like that, they will give you actually free resources to help you to learn how to prepare. They'll put you in touch with people that will help you and your community and your family. Learn how to do recon. Keep your eyes open, your head on a swivel. Look to start paying attention to ingress. That means ways to access your domicile, your community, and so on and so forth. And look for egress, ways to exit your community, your domicile. Stop trying to be larger than life and just be a regular, average, everyday citizen. Don't have your music blasted, alienating your neighbors, pissing everybody off. Be the one that your neighbors can come and ask for an egg if they need it. Because those same neighbors will put you up on resources. I have a neighbor that, because I've given that neighbor food, when they cut down some trees over here on the property, they came and told me about all the free wood. So I got my fireplace here. I was able to get a whole ton of free wood. If you stay ready, fam, you don't have to get ready. Do you understand where I'm coming from, fam? If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. You don't have to be afraid of what Donald Trump do or what them crazy white folks do and so on and so forth. White folks have been white folks since we've been here, and they're going to be white folks after we leave. The government has been the government since we've been here, and it's going to be the government after we gone. I, as your brother and one who loves you, want to encourage you today. to be mindful and to take control of the things that you can take control of. They want you to exist with a spirit of fear because that's what keeps you on the bottom. Black people are notorious for being risk adverse in everything, in investments, in preparation. We don't want to risk a damn thing. Family life is risk. But where there's risk, there's also reward. We've had Black people that have been a part of every great discovery since the beginning in this country. We had a Black man that was a part of the group that discovered the motherfucking North Pole. Esteban Yico speak 6 different Indian languages. And like, yeah, Pocahontas, look, these white motherfuckers, right? We done been involved in every so-called discovery since the jump street. Thank you, Matthew Henson. But now we all risk averse. We don't want to step out there and look stupid. Nigga, what you talking about? You going camping for camping? Hey, you on some white folks shit. What you mean you talking about? You going out practicing shooting on? What, you trying to start a militia, nigga? Man, what you mean you talking about? You want to learn how to build a log cabin? What is you talking about? What you mean raise beds? This nigga said he want a chicken. Y'all hear him, fam? Go ahead and let him laugh, fam. What's the old saying? Laugh now, cry later. I want my people to stop being the grasshopper, and I want us to start being the ants. I want us to start being proactive rather than reactive. Reaction comes from fear, but knowledge dispels fear, fam. Knowledge and practice, awareness, knowing what's going on around you, who's doing what, where, when, and how. I've often heard it said that Black people need our own CIA. I couldn't agree more. If you Black in this country with a 32-tooth smile, fam, you can ask white folks anything and they'll tell you anything. There's no shade to white folks. I'm not being racist right now by saying that. If you smile and be nice, white folks will tell you anything you want. There is no secrets to white supremacy, fam. They so bold with it, they'll tell you every step of the plan. Before they went into Iraq the second time, fam, just a side note before I open up the lines, because I want to hear what y'all got to say. But just as a side note, before Rumsfeld, W, and all the rest of them went into Iraq, did they not issue a report through PNAC talking about a new Pearl Harbor? They told us to our face exactly what the fuck they was going to do. There ain't no secrets to white supremacy, fam. Everybody talking about, white folks are so much more clever and savvy with this white supremacy. No, they not. How savvy can they be when they tell us everything they're going to do to us? They tell you straight up to your face exactly what the game plan is. They have whole think tanks where they issue out reports of exactly what the fuck they plan to do for you. Plan to do to you. They tell you what they're going to do over in Iran. They tell you what they're going to do over in Israel. They tell you what they're going to do in China. They brag about the shit. They have meetings where they come together and they talk about what it is they're going to do to you. There ain't no secrets in white supremacy, fam. May God protect us all from not asking the motherfucking questions. Exactly, Easy. They say we can't stop it, though. But if you know what's coming down the pike, why can't you? Or at least, why can't you mitigate? We don't have to stop every secret plan and cabal of white supremacy. We just have to mitigate enough of this shit. Then it won't work. We don't have to, fam, you don't have to completely eliminate and defeat white supremacy. The ideology ain't going to go away anyway. You can't defeat an ideology. All you have to do is just hinder them enough. You have to make white supremacy actions cost them more than what they gain from doing it. The day we do that, white supremacy is over. That's it. That's it. We have to make it cost them more than what they gain from practicing it. The moment we do that, white supremacy is finished. (425-296-1980) fam is the number. I already know this. You know what, fam? I like that y'all here, but I already know this one is not going to get as many views because this isn't about controversy. This is actually about solutions. This is about stuff that we as black folk can actually do. Those broadcasts are never popular. Shout out to Green Jet, by the way, and Unsunken when I see you, fam. Shout out to Michael, brother Michael. I see you. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm telling you, fam, everybody tries to, look, all of these people who be pimping us, talking about white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy. Let me tell you something, fam. What they will never tell you is that you won't defeat white supremacy because it's an idea. The only way you combat ideas is with other ideas. But if you make white supremacy cost more for whites than what they gain from practicing it, they'll stop doing it. It's as simple as that. The day it costs white folks more to be white supremacists than it does that they gain from it, it's over with. It's a wrap. Yo, our fight's done. Everything else at that point is just a mop-up operation. So how many of y'all on board to make it cost them? How many of y'all on board to make it cost them? I want it to cost America everything to commit white supremacy against me and mine. I'm on some Leonidas shit. Give them nothing and take from them everything. 425-296-1980. If you got tips, fam, if you have survival tips, right? Not just survival, but preparedness. Let's not weird some of the Negroes out who be like, oh, he's on some survival shit. You know, preparedness. Calling from 413, it's your man, Mark Black. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's on your mind?
What's going on, Mark? This is Double C.
Double C, what's good, fam? Glad to hear from you. Talk to us.
You were talking about Survivor earlier. And before you were talking about me, my fiance was talking about it because she's been keeping up with the whole Iran thing.
Yep.
Well, as you do know, my grandma passed away. We just had a funeral yesterday, so I haven't been keeping up with it.
Fam, my condolences, man. I'm really sorry to hear about your loss.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, she was like, so we started stocking up water and like empty those gallon tea bottles from Arizona.
Yep.
We stocked it on beans. We got flour. We got extra bags of, well, actually, we're going to buy extra bags of dog food.
Yep.
You know, then we have like knives and stuff like that, you know, stuff to protect ourselves with here.
Right? You don't need guns.
Yeah.
If you got a machete, you got everything you need to defend your family right there.
She has a field hockey sticks. If you don't know what a field hockey stick is,
I know what they are.
I know they are. I make fun of the call it shillelagh because I used to think they were.
Shillelaghs.
Yeah. So she's been up on it. She's like, all right, tomorrow we go get some more stuff. Can't cook because her father was military.
Yep.
Also a survivalist. And he took me to the little house, the little cabin on where they used to go as kids, which her grandfather built. I know how to farm. I know how to use, you know, land and how to farm and stuff, but she knows how to live off the land.
That's right.
So, and you're right. You know, as a kid, you hear, well, that's just white folk stuff. Mm-mm. Oh no, they know how to hike. That's why they know how to live in caves, hike mountains. They know how to do it all, how to skin and everything else. That's stuff that's lost art that we don't know because we're comfortable going to the stores.
Yeah, we
We're
scary.
too
Like
comfortable.
you talk to a
Yeah.
brother about hiking up to Mount Rainier. I live right next to a volcano, fam. I go up to Mount Rainier, hike up to the glacier. It's about 3.5, 4 mile hike up the side of a mountain. You talk to some brothers and say, hey, why don't we go up there and hike up to Mount Rainier, man? While we up there practice some fire scout, some fire making techniques and shit in the park, where it's free. It's absolutely free. You can just go up there. They be like, what?
You know, like I learned to use white birch because white birch, the bark is like paper. Easy to start a fire. Um, else is a good fire starter? The lint you get from your dryer.
Oh hell yeah!
It,
I always keep my lint, fam. I actually used to have. I gotta redo it because I
yeah.
lost my bag when I moved. But what I do, fam, here's a tip. The brother is right. Take the lint from your dryer if you have washer and dryer in your house. Take the lint out of your dryer, put it in a damn bag, in a Ziploc bag, and store it. If you take and
hmm
spark a little spark into that lint, that shit will catch fire like that, and it'll get you a fire start.
And it burns clean instead of those chemical logs.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mom had a wood stove, and I would cook on a wood stove. In our house. Another thing that people don't do, but me and my best friend used to do it for years, fishing.
Yep.
Here's the bad part. People say I know how to fish without a pole. You know, just some hooks, some beans or chicken liver,
Yep.
and throw it out there. You know, and here's the bad part about it. This stuff doesn't cost you any money. Not really.
Not really.
It, not really. It don't cost you much. I mean,
Not really, fam.
about a, it costs you more for a gallon of cheap liquor, which is like what, $12, 20. I don't
By
know.
the way, fam, that's another thing that you should keep as far as part of your preparedness kit too is booze, not to drink. Alcohol disinfects wounds. You can have a bottle of
Especially
wine that's 20% alcohol, and you can use that wine to disinfect a cut or a wound. Trust me, when the whole shit show goes down, let's say that tomorrow the shit hits the fan, fam. More people will die in the first 6 months from dysentery, from infected wounds, and shit like that, right? Than will die from violence. Seriously, you can go to a dollar store and put together a container of bleach. A lot of people don't know that if you get a gallon of bleach, you can disinfect almost 100 gallons of water by putting 10 drops of chlorine bleach into a gallon of water and letting it sit. You can actually kill the germs in the water. You still need to filter it, but you can
yeah.
purify water with bleach.
And the thing is, see, I have a Brita filter. I got about 20 filters because I've been filling up a water jug. Because Gina's like, my girlfriend's like, hey, we gotta get in survival mode. She said, cool. And when you talk about having certain commands or whatever, and there's
Mm-hmm.
some questions asked, me and my fiance, we go over that. If she says something in a certain tone, I know we gotta hit it to get it.
Yep.
You know, dog in his kennel, even the dog knows to go in his crate. We know to hit it and get it.
Yep.
But honestly, to be honest with you, that's a lost art. A lot of people don't know how to do that. Like I said, we got too comfortable. We got lazy. Let's call it what this
Yeah,
is.
let's just
We
tell
got
it what it
lazy.
is. We got off the plantation. We decided we don't want to do
Mm,
no more real like manual work. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. I get the
mm,
sentiment. We more than just bodies, with muscles. We brain people too. But damn it, don't forget what it's
mm.
like to carve a piece of wood or to climb a damn tree or to go catfish noodling, all this stuff. You know what's the thing
Oh,
that fucks me up the most, Cease? Is
what's going on?
that
What's going on,
all
fam?
this shit that we talk about is white folks stuff. They learned from niggas and Indians. So all
Here's
this
the bad
shit
part.
about building shelters and purifying water and eating off the land and this, that, and the third,
Mm.
they learned from natives and from us. But it's white folks
All right,
shit.
I'm gonna tell you a story, man, real quick. Me and my boy were homeless. Me and my best friend, my older, we were homeless at the time, right? So we didn't have much.
Yep.
We didn't have much money or nothing like that. So we used to go to a place called 5 Mile Pond in Springfield.
Yep.
We go fishing there. There's another guy that used to hang out with us. I will not say his name for various reasons because I no longer associate with this guy.
Right.
Now I didn't know how to fish really. You know, he taught me how to fish. He taught me how to hook the worm and everything else. We'll go fishing. We say, hey, at least start the fire. We'll come back with the fish. He's on his phone, and I'm like, if you're homeless, you try to survive. You're trying to eat. You know, you ain't got time to be on your phone. You ain't got time to do stuff.
That's facts. That's facts.
Lo and behold, I had one of those fire sticks, you know, where I could start a fire real quick, and I knew how to get dry birch wood.
Yep.
The bark, perfect fire. It's like paper. It burns like paper. You know.
Yep.
But those are little. My grandma taught me how to garden. You know. But and I'll say this: when my grandmother died, both my grandmothers are gone. My grandfathers are gone from the silent generation, the greatest generation.
Yep.
A lot of that stuff was lost with them.
That's a shame.
You know what? And it's a shame. But the little bit they taught me, I've nurtured it. I've cherished it. Because them guys were walking. This was walking history. But a lot of people like in my generation wasn't listening. Oh, that's okay. Nothing will ever happen.
Yep.
You know, nothing will happen. Nothing will ever happen. But now, shit about to get real. What you gonna do? You want shit to get off the pot?
That's real talk, fam. That's real talk. You know.
And I'm gonna say this one thing. I want you to talk.
Oh, go ahead,
This
fam.
one sound cold. This one sound cold coming from me. Look, if you're weak, you should be crushed and perish. If you're strong, you'll be punished, but you'll survive.
Let me tell you something.
Survival is key.
The difference between a weak person and a strong person is preparation. What is the old saying, Assis, that success is 10% perspiration and 9% or 10, I'm sorry, 90% perspiration and 10%, position or something like that, right? Like,
yeah.
Success, fam, success, there's no substitute for actually doing the work, right? What's funny to me is with all this beef and stuff that's been going on, haven't you noticed that we've all been keeping it about a full-on $100 talking about the work? See, I figured out something. People like getting sidetracked because when they get sidetracked, that they can use that as an excuse. They can say, oh, well, black people just don't come together. We just don't unify. No, you just don't put in the motherfucking work, right? Because if you start showing people, right? Like we're doing a broadcast today where we're not talking about being fearful of what's happening over in Iran and this, that, and the third. We're talking about what can we do? What can we do right now that we have control over? What actions can we take? You see what I'm saying?
That sounds good. Here's the problem. Even though you're giving solutions, and this is real shit. You're not well, that's not really happening. People want to be entertained by foolishness. Who's beefing with who? The next celebrity gossip.
Fam, I told you, we can't save everybody. You can bring people to water. You can't push their head down and make them take a sip. We can do broadcasts like this. I'm going to do a broadcast here soon on land-based acquisition where I'm going to show you how you can actually get some land without breaking the motherfucking bank. And let's see how many people actually watch that broadcast. And more importantly, let's see how many people actually say, you know what, Brother Black, I'm with you, fam. You provided the receipts. You showed us how it's done. I'm about to go do it. Let's see. Let's see how many people actually do it.
I'll probably be one of those people that will try it.
I would hope that you will, fam. I would hope that you will, because it can be done. We don't need every one of us to be on board. If you want to convince people of the rightness of what it is that you standing on, all you have to do, fam, is just do the work. That's all you got to do, right? To all my ADOS people out there, you got people calling you names and this, that, and the third. Why do you care? Do the work. If your work is solid, people will see your efforts and they will jump on board because they see what you're doing. But if all you doing is this, words are wind. Right? I can show
Well,
I just showed you a few of my books. Stand by, fam. Stand by. Cease, don't hang up. Stand by.
yes, sir.
Some people, Cease, have asked me about firearms, right? So I think it's
Yes.
time in our discussion tonight to talk about it. So I hope you fall back and let me chop up a little bit.
Yes, sir. I'll fall back.
I appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much for your contribution, fam. Peace.
Thank.
All right, fam. So hopefully this broadcast, we done got all the scary Negroes the hell up out of here, right? For the ones who are actually here willing to learn something, right? Willing to get some information from a brother who loves you, who wants to see you and yours not only survive, but prosper and thrive, right? Now we can start talking about some real shit. All right, so many of you have asked about firearms. Before I go into firearms, I need to talk a little bit about firearm strategy, for lack of a better way to say it, right? Or no, won't need the teaching screen for this one, fam. I got the tools right here. All right. We need to talk about firearms doctrine, right? Because people think that guns are the great equalizer and this, that, and the third. And there's some truth to all that stuff. But guns are just like any other tool, fam. If you don't know what they do, what they're capable of, and you don't understand how to utilize them effectively, you can have the shiniest gun with the most bullets that do air, it'll eat Arnold Schwarzenegger for lunch and it won't matter. So we need to talk a little bit about firearm doctrines, right? Now, as an ex-military man, I always think of things in terms of engagements. Okay, so I'm going to ask your patience with me while I discuss basic things, basic terminologies. As a military person, you're taught that there are ranges of engagement, right? Now, these ranges start from the furthest away from you or from long range to mid-range engagements to short-range engagements. So let me give you some measurements to help you out, all right? And I apologize in advance because I think in meters. Ever since I was in the military, I don't think in yards and feet. I think in meters and kilometers. So I'm going to use the metric system, but you can easily convert my measurements from metric to standard, all right? Long range engagements, militarily speaking, or I should be more precise, offensive engagements. I'll just say that, right? Long range engagements are 100 meters or further. Okay, so out to 100 meters and beyond are long range engagements. The weapon that you would want to choose for a long range engagement would be the equivalent of a modern battle rifle cartridge. We're talking, if you're in America, that would probably be the 223, right? The equivalent of the M16, right? The 223 or 5.56 caliber round. It's about, I know you can't really see that, but it's about 2 inches long, the cartridge, with about an inch long round, right? You can basically the AR-15, exactly. The AR-15 is the civilian equivalent of the M16, which is the military modern battle rifle. All right. Now, the 223 round or the 5.56 round has some pretty good things going for it. It's got a pretty flat trajectory out to about 300 meters, meaning that all things being equal, conditions being pretty good, you should be able, once you have the weapon zeroed means that you have it set to where you can point and whatever you're aiming at and hit it. Once you have the weapon zeroed, it's point and shoot out to about 300 meters, okay? With a fairly flat trajectory, because every bullet's going to come out and it's going to have an arc because of gravity, right? So because the 223 is a very high velocity round, it's going to have a very flat trajectory out to about 300 meters, okay? Now, it's a small round, which means that the further it has to go, the more kinetic energy it loses. The further out it goes, the less likely it is to cause, major wound channels and damage. Now, it's still lethal. The M16 round, right, the 223 is lethal out to at least 600 meters, right? But with the amount of bullet drop, wind conditions affecting the bullet traveling from side to side, if you could hit a target at 600 meters with a 223, you're doing some shit, all right? Matter of fact, if you're looking at a possible engagement, we're talking 600 meters or further, you need to be bugging out, right? Don't try to engage somebody that's that far the fuck out. You can actually get away if they're about 600 meters plus out, all right? So a modern battle rifle cartridge, we're talking the 223 or the 7.62 by 39 Russian round. That's your AK-47 or SKS round, right? SKSs used to be fairly cheap, fam, because they're surplus weapons. But now that the surplus market then got head up, it's hard to find a reasonably priced SKS, but you can find a fairly decent Russian-made or Chinese-made AK base for about $600-700, something like that. The 7.62 by 39 Russian round is a little bit shorter than the 223 cartridge, but it has a much larger bullet and it has a larger charge, gunpowder charge in the cartridge. Now, you'll hear people talk about, well, AK-47s ain't as accurate as M16s and this, that, and the third, and there is some truth to that. Most of that comes down to mostly the shitty type of ammunition that people buy for AK-47s. Like you can get steel cartridge rounds, which are, they're just functional utilitarian rounds, right? So they have a steel cartridge, not brass, kind of relatively dirty primers inside the cartridge and stuff like that. But you can get that type of stuff in bulk, like from Tula and other companies like that for relatively cheap, right? The AK-74 is also really good too, oh boy Peach. Now, if you really want to step your battle rifle game up, this is for you more experienced folk. I would recommend getting something in a 30 caliber round, right? We're talking like a 308. Like, so if you can get an M4, which is chambered in 308, that's the 7.62 by 5.1 NATO round, right? 308, 30-30, 30-06, anything that's 30 caliber will serve you in really good stead. First of all, great for hunting, right? Not to mention the fact that because it's a heavier bullet, it's going to pack a bigger punch, right? Depending on the system that you acquire, right? If it's based around like the M16 or M4 system, it has a spring inside that helps to reduce recoil. So even if you step up to like a 308 or something like that, you're going to get a lot less recoil depending on the system, right? The platform that you fire the round from. Another thing that Michael just mentioned is learn how to reload rounds, right? You can get reloading kits relatively cheap, and you could get them at places like Cabela's, Bass Pro Shops, things like that. They sell reload kits where you can get bullet molds to mold your own bullets from lead ingots. Lead melts at really low temperatures, fam. So you can actually melt lead ingots on your stove top. If you have a hot enough burner on your stove, you can melt lead on your stove top. You can then press your own rounds, learn how to charge, get the right gunpowder charge and stuff like that, and reload your own rounds and things like that. Now, so battle rifles, 223 at a minimum. Right, I'm going to call that a minimum. That's like your Ruger Mini 14s. That's like your or your AR series rifles, right? Like your AR-15s, things like that. And if you're able to step up to a 30 caliber range or 30 caliber round for a battle rifle, or for what I would call a long range engagement rifle, right? For hunting deer, elk, things like that. Okay. Now, for mid-range, that's between 100 meters and 20 meters. What you want for something like that, right, would be something along the lines of a good shotgun. And I'm not talking about a small bore shotgun like a 410 or a 20 gauge. I'm talking about your standard 12 gauge shotgun. And it doesn't have to be automatic or anything like that, fam. You'll find automatic shotguns out there, but they're really fucking expensive, especially the Russian made ones. Those are hugely popular now. And they're pricey as shit. No, get you something like a Remington or a Mossberg, right? There's, first of all, Remington and Mossberg shotguns are the most popular shotguns in the United States of America. You could get them anywhere, like literally anywhere. Not to mention the fact that there are a lot of aftermarket accessories for Mossberg and Remington shotguns. Right? So you get like a Remington 570 or something like that. There's plenty of aftermarket accessories. Well, what are aftermarket accessories, Brother Black? Aftermarket accessories are chokes. Chokes in a shotgun, because a shotgun is a smooth bore. It doesn't have a rifled barrel. Chokes fit inside the barrel of the shotgun and help you to change the size of your shot groups. Right? So when you fire a shotgun, the shotgun has pellets in it, and those pellets come out and they create a shot pattern, right? Chokes allow you to be able to control the size of your shot pattern that emerges from the barrel of the shotgun. Now, you can get chokes. Some people like to use slugs. The only problem with slugs is, fam, is that slugs have the problem, especially in home defense and things like that, of possible over penetration, along with larger pellet sized rounds like double aught or single aught or even triple aught buckshot, right? Can have the problem of over penetration, meaning that if you're in your home and you fire this thing off, it can go through the walls and maybe hit your neighbors and shit like that. You got to be real fucking careful when you have a shotgun for home defense. You don't want to get something that's going to leave somebody running off, but at the same time, you don't want something that's likely to over penetrate, go through walls, hit your babies, hit your family, and things like that, right? So you want to make sure that. But the cool thing about a shotgun, though, fam, is like what we're talking about right here is the versatility. You can get rifled slugs that allow you to reach out a damn good distance with a shotgun. And rifled slugs are second to none for hunting, right? You use a rifled slug and you hit the sweet spot on a deer, it's going down. That's without question. Deer, feral hogs, elk, you can hunt them all with a shotgun. Right? So a shotgun is versatile. You can hunt birds with a shotgun using bird shot and so on and so forth. Slugs are not for home defense, fam. I'm telling you. I love my people, but we got to stop watching so much Hollywood shit. Slugs are not for home defense unless you trying to shoot through door frames and walls and shit. Like, no, that's bad. Terror bad. No slugs for home defense, right? Pick some number 5 shot or some number 4 shot or something like that. Something that has enough stopping power to incapacitate somebody who's trying to come into your home, right? But something that's not likely to over penetrate through walls, hit your babies, hit your neighbors, shit like that, right? So a shotgun is versatile. You can engage a multitude of different things within 100 meters and 20 meters with a shotgun. The rounds offer you versatility. You have 2.5-inch rounds and 3-inch rounds for shotguns. So what I recommend is that if you're going to go with the 3-inch rounds, get an extended magazine on your shotgun. So let's say you have a Mossberg 500, right? It can get an extension to the magazine that'll allow you to load in more rounds. So instead of maybe holding like 3 shots or 5 shots, of course, be aware of the laws in your area. Like if you're in California, you may be limited to a certain number of rounds in your weapon. Be mindful of the law, all right? Don't say, Brother Black told me to go get this 7-shot, 3-inch, blase skibbity woo woo, and then you get caught up. No, be mindful of the law, right? But you can get extended magazines that allow you to load more rounds in. And one good thing about having more rounds in a shotgun, it actually helps you to maintain control over the weapon a lot easier, because the heavier a shotgun is, the more control you're likely to have over it, right? But these are pump action. They have a little lever near the rear of the shotgun that you thumb that then allows you to rack the pump to pull a round out of the magazine tube and feed it in through the feed chamber into the firing chamber of the shotgun. That's that clack, clack you hear, right? When the movies and shit, they're like clack, clack. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. A good pump action shotgun will serve you in really good stead. And that's for like your medium range engagements. Now, for short range engagements, that's between 20 meters and somebody standing right up in your face. You need to be looking at this point at a pistol. Okay? Now, people will talk all damn day about different type of pistols and so on and so forth. Here's what I'm going to tell you about a pistol, fam. Get what you can afford and what you're able to control. Ballistics do matter always. But that being said, there's a reason why the .22 rimfire is one of the most lethal rounds in history. Okay? There's a reason why the .22 rimfire, this small ass bullet, has killed more motherfuckers than any other round in history. Because it's easy to use and it's cheap. All right? If all you can afford is a .22, get you one. Okay? Now, for those of you who are a little bit more advanced, I'll tell you what my choice was and the reasons why, right? What I was looking for in a pistol platform or to a pistol caliber was I was looking for a combination of capacity, right? I wanted to be able to have enough rounds to be able to fully extricate myself from an engagement. But I also wanted good stopping power. I wanted something that was likely to drop somebody in their tracks and incapacitate them when I hit them. Now, many people own 9mm pistols, love the 9mm, got nothing ill to say about it, right? And 9mm are prolific, fam. You can get 9mm pistols everywhere. Like, seriously, they're all over the place. A lot of good gun manufacturers too. Many of you have heard of Glocks. There's a reason why you've heard of Glocks. Glocks are really well made. They're durable. They're lightweight. A lot of aftermarket accessories. For example, you can modify the sights and get night sights for them. You can get extended magazines for them. So Glock's good choice. Smith & Wesson is one of my favorite manufacturers. Taurus actually makes some really reasonable cost weapons that are fucking amazing in quality. Like, no bullshit. You could do a hell of a lot worse than to pick up a good Taurus pistol right now. They had some issues with quality control back in the day, but Taurus has really stepped their game up, and you can still get Taurus pistols relatively cheap, right? Rugers, great pistols, so on and so forth, right? Yeah, Michael said magazine and clip are not the same. Magazine is what holds rounds. Clips were used in old battle rifles. They are not the same, right? So I'm with him on that one. I'm a Nazi. When they say, yeah, I got 5 in the clip and 1 in the chest. No, shut the fuck up. Like, just don't. You know what I'm saying? But Taurus makes really good. Yeah, back, Unsunken One's right. Taurus was a joke back in the day. But I'm telling you, Taurus makes some bomb-ass pistols. But I'm going to tell you, fam, I'm talking all this shit about cheap guns, and I got a High Point, which is the cheapest, biggest iron slab piece of shit pistol you could ever possibly own. I got a High Point sitting in my drawer right now. Love SIGs, but SIGs are way overpriced though. Way overpriced. I love SIGs, great guns, but hugely expensive. Right? SIG, if you buy a SIG, you got bread. SIG Sauer. You buy a SIG Sauer, you got money. You got more money than your man Mark Black got. I'm just saying. SIGs are wonderful guns, but ooh, you're going to pay through the nose for a SIG, right? So let me share with you the one I chose. I chose the 40 caliber. The reason why I chose the 40 caliber round to build my pistol platform around is very simple, okay? The 40 caliber was a cartridge that was developed to replace the 9mm for federal law enforcement. Yeah, Jermaine, I got a High Point, fam. Ain't no shame in mine. I'll go show you, okay? I got the 9-shot High Point 40. That's right. Single stack, okay? Right? The 40 caliber was a round that was developed to replace the 9mm for federal firearm or for federal law enforcement. Right? There was an incident back in the 80s where the feds ended up in a gunfight and the 9mm just didn't do it for them. I know they may flag it, fam. That's okay. If they do, I'll post it up on the Patreon or something. Maybe it'll give people an incentive to actually support my work, right? So the feds put out, what's the word I'm looking for? A proposal, right? Looking to replace the 9mm. They at first had considered a 10mm round, okay? 10mm, by the way, pistol round is great. Nice flat trajectory. Slaps hard, pretty good capacity, but not quite as good capacity, as a 9mm, but not bad. But then Smith & Wesson actually put a proposal where they basically took a 10mm cartridge, right? This part, they cut it down, but kept roughly the same size bullet. So they basically shortened a 10mm cartridge, but used the same charge, and thus you got the 40 caliber Smith & Wesson round, right? The 40 caliber Smith & Wesson round, fam, has everything I was looking for, in my opinion, ballistically speaking, right? I wanted good ballistics, right? Meaning I wanted stopping power. I wanted, relatively good trajectory and all of that. I wanted something that was easy to control, right? The recoil on this is not bad at all. And I wanted something with decent capacity. This magazine right here that I have is a 15-shot magazine, right? So I've got 15 of these, 15 reasons why it's probably not a good idea to mess with your boy, right? So I got pretty good capacity. I got good stopping power in a round that's relatively easy for anybody to control. That's my choice. Now, my weapon of choice here This is a Smith & Wesson M&P 40, right? And yeah, I know you laughing at the desert, color or whatever, but I don't give a damn. It was cheap. I got it for about $350, right? Right out the door. This is a really, really good platform for me. First of all, this is a full size frame, right? Full frame pistol, which I like because I've got fat hands, right? So this allows me to get a good grip. By the way, family, notice trigger safety. Never ever assume a weapon isn't unloaded. All right, always check, fam. Okay, so this allows me a really good grip. Notice my finger's not in the trigger well, by the way. Gun safety is paramount. Okay, I love the fish tail right here, the fish scales here on, because this allows you to get a really good grip when you rack in the slide, right? This one actually is a police model, so it doesn't have a built-in safety on it, which is perfect for me because I know guns. I don't need that, right? And so on and so forth. One other good thing about this one too, though, is even though this is a full frame, it has a grip that's removable. You can actually swap out the grip. So if you have smaller hands, fam, you can actually use a full frame pistol, right? So this is perfect for me, right? Perfect for me. Nice, crisp trigger pull, right? Nothing too heavy. It's not like a trigger pull of iron, but it's not, hair trigger either, right? And it just works beautifully. It's perfect. Easy to break down and keep maintenance on. Polymer frame, full metal slides, full metal, the whole 9 yards. All right. So that's the pistol that I chose. But trust me, fam, just get your hands on a pistol. Yeah, Michael, I'm guessing it's around 5 pounds. Actually, it's a little less. This is around a 4-pound trigger, right? And that's crazy because this is double action. I thought it would be upwards of around 5 to 6 pounds, but no, it's actually tuned somewhere around 4 pounds. Do you want to know what my favorite tool is, though, in my arsenal, fam? My absolute favorite, like my go-to, like if I didn't have my pistol, I didn't have a shotgun, I didn't have anything else, you know what my favorite is? This here, this here, family, is my favorite. Yep. This is an old school, yeah, it's a police model, Michael. This is an old school Remington 22 bolt action magazine, a tube magazine rifle. Yep, this is my absolute favorite. Fam, believe it or not, during the Depression era, rifles like this was putting food on the table for a lot of folk. Used properly, this could take down a small deer if you need to. It's easy as hell to maintain. Few moving parts, bolt action, right? So with this, by the way, fam, never assume, always check. This is unloaded, right? But with this, easy to maintain your sight picture. It's got a blade sight in the rear and a prong sight in the front. So easy to get a good sight picture. You could have your kids learn how to shoot this, right? You could teach them proper cheek weld, right? How to get sight alignment, right? Easy peasy, lightweight. The magazine on this holds 13 rounds. This is my baby right here. This is my baby right here. That's my baby. Right? Jermaine know what I'm talking about. All the old heads who was from the country, right, who came up from the South back in the day had one of these. You can take down possums, squirrels, raccoons, dogs, deer. You better ask somebody. You know how many old brothers learn how to shoot with a rifle just like this one? I love this damn thing. And I got it for a song, fam. I got it for $75 from the pawn shop. When I went in there and I saw it up on the shelf, I asked the man behind the counter, how much is that? He said, you interested in that? He said, I know you know what you're talking about. He said, I know you know what you're doing. Because a lot of people will see that and walk right past it. He said, I know you know weapons. He said, I'll sell it to you for $75 out the door. Because, fam, by the way, shotguns and rifles, you can buy and walk right out the door. You don't need no license. You don't need no permit, no nothing. You walk right out the door. For pistols, you do need to go through a background check, and that costs. So you'll have the cost of your gun, right? Your pistol. You'll have the cost of whatever ammunition you got. I got ball ammo, right? Ball ammunition. If you look, fam, I don't know if you can see that, but that is a round tip. It's ball ammo. The reason why I got ball ammo is simple, because it's cheap. You don't need to get hollow points that frag out and will, hit they spleen and this, that, and the third. When you're shooting a 40 caliber round and you shoot anybody with this, they're going down. It's jacketed. It's a jacketed ball round. It's good for target practice because it's cheap, and it'll get the job done on self-defense. Oh, fam, and a 22 rifle, man, look. I keeps my weapons clean, but I could drag this thing right here through the mud, take a water hose to it, and go right back out to doing whatever the hell I'm doing. Durable. This thing is ancient, fam. I don't even think Remington even makes these anymore. So there you have it, fam. I could go on, but I think you've got a good basis to start your foray into self and collective defense. For short range engagements between somebody standing in your face and about 20 meters away from you, you want something like this. For medium range engagements, you want to look at something like a shotgun. Make sure you get a few different types of rounds. We're talking bird shot. We're talking slugs for hunting, not home defense. Oh, yes, and a really good blade. I have to go find mine, but I've got a 9-inch fixed blade with a 1/4-inch spine on it, thumb jimping. It's got it almost looks like a kukri. Right? Any of you familiar with a kukri is like an Indian blade, but mine doesn't have the bend in it. It's a straight blade, but it has a belly, and it comes out like this with a false point on it. I've used that knife to chop down 8-inch trees in diameter because I have a lanyard on the handle that allows me to be able to put the rope, the lanyard, on my wrist. And that allows me to get a good grip on the blade so that when I swing it, I can use it like an axe. I can chop down a tree, cut off tree branches, chop down a tree with it. I can skin an animal with it. Knowledge, family, dispels fear. Why should you be afraid of anything you learned tonight? Why should you be scared about what's happening here, what's happening there? It's possible for you to learn about the history of what Iran, the nation of Iran, what Persians have been through, what we've put them through, what they put us through. It's possible for you to learn all that. There's a multitude of sources that will be able to tell you information about the players in this conflict. So you don't need to be afraid there. Once you understand the players in this conflict, you know what America's likely to do and what the Iranians are likely to do. So you don't need to be afraid of that. And now you understand that a survival mindset, fam, requires you to know what's going on, to be aware, to prepare, and to rehearse, to get with your people and rehearse. Practice wrapping a wound. Practice splinting a leg, splinting an arm. Right? Practice putting away your foodstuffs. All those brothers and sisters that want to laugh at Duck Dynasty, want to laugh at Survival Man, let them laugh. Whoever laughs last, laughs best.
Thanks for the ironclad survival tips tonight.
Brother man, it is not only my pleasure, but it's my honor. Somebody got to be doing broadcasts like this. And it don't make no sense for my people to be out there scared and afraid, begging people from another country to not hurt them, threatening to hide and run away, fearful, reactive, scared. We don't need to be that, fam. Remember, I told you truth is truth no matter where you find it. The military, they take taxes out of your check every motherfucking month, every week, every month to pay for the military. So why ain't you downloading field manuals and technical manuals on counterinsurgency, on survival, on combat engineering, on first aid? Those books are yours. You paid for them. Why ain't you going and purchasing them? Nah, fam, I'm not selling it. I'm not selling it, not even for $300, fam. No, not my baby. Why aren't y'all? See, knowledge dispels fear, which is why they don't want you to know what's going on. They don't want you to know. But fam, you would be surprised at who it is that don't want you to know. Everybody talking about white supremacy don't want you to know, but it's always other niggas that laugh at you for wanting to know. Let's just keep it a buck. I ain't never had a white man anywhere I've went to purchase a weapon who looked at me sideways. Matter of fact, most of them say, fam, I'll tell you a story. By the way, the line's still open if you got something you want to say, but I'll tell you a quick story. I used to didn't have a concealed carry permit, but I lived in a rough-ass neighborhood. So I had a Smith & Wesson Model 40. Loved that thing. Was beautiful. I'm on my way home from work. I get pulled over by a Kansas state trooper. I let the trooper know. I said, officer, I said, I am armed. I said, for your safety, if you need to retrieve my firearm during this interaction, you are welcome to do so. I will point you to its location, right? Before he even stopped me, I actually took the magazine out of my firearm. I put the firearm over on this side. I put the magazine over on this side, and I put both hands on the steering wheel. So the officer reaches in, he grabs my firearm, and he's holding on to it. Where you headed? I'm headed home from work. He said, you got a permit? I said, no, sir, I do not. He said, why do you carry this thing? I said, sir, I work very late at night and I live in a rough and tumble neighborhood. And sometimes I can't count on you and your friends to be there to protect me. He went back to his car, gets to run the serial number on my pistol or whatever. I'm legit. I ain't hurt nobody with it. He came back to the vehicle, handed me my driver's license, handed me my pistol. He said, Mr. Black, if more of us thought like you, it'd make my job a hell of a lot easier. Have a good evening, sir. And he got in his vehicle and drove the fuck off. This was a white man in the middle of Kansas. He had every opportunity. I was on the side of the highway and it was empty at night. He had every opportunity to gun me down. Sometimes, fam, it ain't them white folks that's preventing you from understanding the reality of your circumstances. It's the fear of the opprobrium, the disrespect that you'll experience from other black folk who laugh at you and call you white folks. You niggas trying to act like white folks. Nah, fam, I'm trying to survive. And if what white folks is doing will help me to survive, then I want stat. Matter of fact, I need stat. If learning basic first aid, learning how to take care of my family, learning how to take wheat and turn it into a meal, learning how to take beans and turning it into a meal, how to sprout beans so I can get vitamin C where I ain't got access to fruit. If all of that means acting and thinking like white folks, then sign me up, fam. I'm white today. If that means that I lost my nigga pass, you can keep it. Because while all them niggas is laughing at you because you camping and learning how to weave hammocks and how to make gill nets. Yeah, because they say gill nets is illegal in a lot of jurisdictions. Well, when the shit hits the fan, who's going to be there to motherfucking enforce that a gill net's illegal? But guess what? You got a net that you can stretch across the stream and catch as much fish as you need to feed you and your family. Say what? Oh, man, you can't be talking about guns. You know, the white folks. Actually, white folks ain't never had a problem with me owning a firearm a day in my life. But I had a whole lot of black people tell me I shouldn't own firearms. Don't cry, Toolbox. I told you, Brother Black and the Angry Black Sheep, we not here to bring our people a spirit of fear. I'm here to put the fight in your belly. There is much that we can do for ourselves. Sure, we can't fix the whole world. We can't get our justice claim tomorrow. But in the interim, there's a ton of work that we can do. A ton. Get in where you fit in. If you know guns, teach guns. If you know gardening, teach gardening. If you know real estate, teach brothers and sisters real estate. And don't charge them the high for it and develop some program like Jay Morrison and all the rest of them and shit like that. Help your people actually get a come up. If you know Bitcoin, teach Bitcoins. Don't let nobody shame you into saying, oh, nigga, you on that big. No, if you know Bitcoins, teach Bitcoins. I don't care what you know that can help benefit your family, your people, your tribe. Teach us that shit. We need it all. We need it all. If you know blockchain and Bitcoin, I want to learn that shit. I do. I want to know it. I may not have a lot of money to invest in it or whatever right now, but I'd rather know it and have the opportunity to be able to get into it in some way, shape, or fashion. You know real estate, teach your peoples. You know business, teach your people. You know coding, teach your people. You know first aid, teach your people, fam. Teach your people. Everybody else out there, fam, they don't have a problem with you continuing to eat failure. Fuck, Boomer said I grow weed. Teach your people that. Shit, Boomer hooked. Let me tell you something, fam. With all these places legalizing and shit right now, how wouldn't it be nice if a group of brothers and sisters got together and said, fuck the states where it's legal now. Pretty soon it's going to be legal everywhere. Why don't we plot our way and put our bank together right now and develop the infrastructure either hydroponically or aeroponically or whatever the case may be. Pick some good strains or breed your own strains and start to prepare for a place when you can break into the market where you one of the first people with licenses. So instead of you getting busted on some corner boy shit, you could become a mogul like they making rich white boys in Chicago right now in Illinois. If you know how to grow weed, you know how to grow anything. Because guess what? The same principles that you use to grow a crop hydroponically, whether it's weed, you can grow herbs, you could grow tomatoes, you could grow potatoes. So if all you know how to do is grow weed, we need that too. People need to get their ass off their shoulders like they too good to learn some shit. We the only people that never been able to benefit from anything criminal. I wish somebody would teach me how to learn how to grow weed. Shit, I'm probably the wrong brother to teach. I'm not. Let me shut up. I'm probably the wrong brother to teach, fam. Oh, John, thank you. Before we go, because I know unless y'all want to keep riding, ain't nobody called in, but if y'all want to keep riding, I got more information for you. Brother John talked about silver and gold, so let's talk about that real quick. I have owned both silver and gold in the past. Now, let me explain to you what silver and gold actually is. It used to be money, right? It used to be money in America, right? A dollar used to be 2.715 grams of silver, okay? Now, it's no longer money, but what it is, fam, it's a hedge. So if you look at silver and gold don't really change in value. Let me explain. Back in the day when gold was money, a man could buy a really nice tailored suit with a $20 gold eagle, right? Which was like a gold coin in the United States of America. He could buy a really nice tailor-made suit. The value of gold today is still roughly the value of a nice tailor-made suit. You don't buy gold and silver as an investment. You buy it as a hedge, right? Our money currently is debt-based. It's a fiat currency. It's based off of whatever the United States of America is able to enforce it to be worth, right? It's fiat. It's money because the United States government is white and they say so. Thank you, Brother Morpheus. I appreciate it. So if they decide tomorrow it ain't worth nothing, well, guess what? There goes your savings, there goes your 401k and all of that. People have used hedges in years previous to protect the value of their wealth, their assets and their wealth. Gold and silver is one of those means by which to do that. All right. Now, some people say Bitcoin is better. I can't speak to Bitcoin because I don't know enough about crypto, right? And so on and so forth. I am familiar, however, with gold and silver. I've owned both. At one point, I've had as much as 3 ounces of silver. I actually owned Canadian maple leaves. Canadian maple leaves are 4 nines fine, right? Meaning they're 0.9999 pure gold. I didn't want the gold eagles because I wanted pure gold rather than like 90% gold, 10% silver, like the Eagles are, right? And then I owned silver, actually they were just silver medallions. They weren't Eagles or, Canadian coins or anything like that. I bought silver medallions, or what's called silver rounds. They were basically from a well-known mint that put their mark, their stamp on silver coins, right? And I owned a bunch of those. I had 28, 30 of them, something like that. I had a ton, because I've always been broke, fam. I've always been a poor cat. And yes, I've owned ounces of gold and silver before. When I lost my job and stuff like that, I was actually able to go and sell that. And at the time that I lost my job, gold had spiked in price. So the 3 ounces that I paid like $1,200 for, I was able to sell for like $1,600. So I actually did make some money on the exchange, right? So, fam, gold and silver are stores of value. There are a lot of white preppers right? No shade to white folks, but a lot of white preppers who do invest in what's called junk silver. American coinage used to be silver. Before 1964, American coins were made of silver, right? And so they had a face value. They stopped making the coins out of silver because silver actually became worth more than the face value of the coins themselves. So after 1964, they made coins from 60% silver, 40% copper. And then after that, they started making them mostly copper, very little silver. And then after that, they switched to zinc. So a lot of the coins we have nowadays are zinc. And if they're the brown ones, they're zinc with copper cladding on them, right? And so on and so forth. But there's a lot of preppers who will buy junk silver. Why? Because they're small units. You can trade a little bit of silver or barter a little bit of silver for something that's not quite as expensive, right? By the way, that's a good book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. If you haven't checked that out, fam, I recommend you do so. But my point is, fam, is that in my opinion, you can buy gold and silver if you like. You can buy Bitcoin if you like as a hedge, right? And so on and so forth. But I think that the best hedges are things that people are going to want to use. Some people mentioned alcohol. In a shit hits the fan scenario, motherfuckers may not believe that your coin is actually silver, but you can give them a little taste of your booze and they'll know it's booze. And alcohol will be worth its weight in gold. When shit hits the fan, they may not actually believe that that gold coin you got is real gold. They may not have the means to assay it or test it or whatever to know it's real gold. But salt will be worth its weight in gold in a shit hits the fan scenario. You feel me? So those are things that I consider like hedges, things that I know that I can put aside. Water purification, clean water too, worth its weight in gold. Sugar, fam. Believe it or not, if the whole thing went ape shit tomorrow, if you had 100-pound bag of sugar, you could basically get whatever the fuck you want. You know how many sugar addicts are out here that when the whole shit goes down, will take a container of water and sprinkle some sugar in there, shake that shit up and drink it just because it's sweet? Honey? Fam, use your imagination. The beautiful thing about prepping, about preparation, about getting your shit together is you're only limited by your imagination. Fuck you, old boy, you just joking. I love me some hot sauce. I got my Louisiana in there right now. I'll go crazy in the shit hits the fan scenario if I ain't got no hot sauce. Hell, when I had MREs when I was in the Army, I used to trade the white boys for the hot sauce, for the Tabasco. I love my hot sauce. Mix that shit in there with that MRE cheese and spread that on a cracker. Charles, brother, thank you so much, fam. I really appreciate the love, man. Thank you. I don't want you to be afraid, fam. I don't want you to be afraid of nothing and nobody. Your time of being scared is over. We in 2020 are going to prepare on every level. We're going to prepare politically. We're going to prepare economically as best we're able. We're going to prepare legally. We're going to prepare mentally, religiously, spiritually, whatever. I'm with you. I'm an atheist and I'm down to prepare spiritually with you, fam. No more fear for us. My mother told me, because I love that acronym, by the way, Brother Michael, fear, face everything and rise. You know what my mother told me fear is? Fear is false evidence appearing real. That shit's all in your head. You think you know what's happening and you all scared. But once you know what's really happened, you realize your fears wasn't nothing at all. It was all made up in your head. Oh, Lord, the Iranians gonna kill us all. How you know? How you know what's going to happen with the Iranians? You don't. It's all right to feel a little some kind of way about the uncertainty. So get yourself in a position of certainty. Get yourself in a position where unless the Iranians drop a bomb on your house, you straight. If some shit go down, you and your family's cool for the next 3-4 days to 2 weeks. You get injured, you know you can take care of your babies. Come here, baby, let me wrap that up for you. Daddy kiss it. Mommy kiss it. I got you. Get the knowledge, get the awareness, do the preparation, and rehearse until you get sick of it. You need to repeat every action at least 1,000 times to build up muscle memory, right? That's how I'm able to just do this. Because I've done it so many times, just practicing. I don't even have to think about it. I didn't even look at it, fam. Muscle memory. Rehearse. Practice. Rehearse. Ours is not a spirit of fear in 2020. Damn all that. Damn all that. Let everybody else be scared. Let everybody else beg Donald Trump to stop. Let everybody else write letters to Iran saying, please don't kill me, Mr. Iranian. Let them fools do that. We done survived the very worst this country done had to offer. What the hell do we got to be scared of? Shit, I'm with Chris Rock fam on this one. I ain't scared of Al-Qaeda. I'm scared of Al-Cracker. And I ain't even scared of him. Thank you, cool Ankh Man fam. I appreciate the love. No fear.
Great show.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. Like I said, y'all make this content. Y'all make this content. Y'all tell me what we need to be discussing, damn it, and we will discuss it. We needed to talk about preparation because I got sick and tired of seeing so many of our brothers and sisters just petrified. Looking around like, oh my God, oh Lord, what is we gonna do? What we gonna do is we gonna prepare, family, like we always did. We gonna get our ass off our shoulders acting like we too good to eat basic shit. Give me some cornmeal and some beans and an egg, fam, and I can feed all of you a complete protein with plenty of fat, plenty of flavor. If I don't have no oil, I can make hot water cornbread. We gonna get it done. And you're gonna be laid up in the corner, your belly full, your mind clear, your fears gone. That's right, Mingo. We're going to talk about it, fam. We're going to talk about it. Probably not the next broadcast. I'm going to save that one for a Sucka-Free Saturday when we can take the time to talk about it. But we're going to have a discussion here in the next few where we talk about land-based acquisition. And fam, I can tell you it is not as difficult as you might think. Now, let me warn you. You may have to do it with other black people. Oh shit, did I say that out loud? You mean to tell me I can't get my own dirt? I gotta share it with these niggas? Yeah, you might have to share your land with some other black folk. You might actually have to come up on 20, 30 acres that you might have to split between a few families. Unless you're willing to go out there by yourself and deal with whatever might be out there by your damn self, you hyper-individualist bastards. As for me, I'm trying to run to as many of my tribe's people as I can. Can't speak for you. But, you know, Mark Black is crazy. You know, like, I don't fit. I actually love my motherfucking people. I actually want to be around as many of them as I can get. So, you know, call me nuts. Yeah, some of the plans that we're going to talk about do require that you kind of come together with other individuals. We also are going to talk about ways of being able to come up on some money together, right? Because here's where we can borrow from some other peoples, right? I don't know how many of you are familiar with tontinas or tontas, right? What they call rotating credit groups. But we're going to talk about that too. Fam, I'm going to let y'all go. It's Saturday. I hope y'all have it. Y'all want me to keep going? I can keep going, but I want us to understand that this isn't do for selferism. We understand that we've been robbed. We understand that government robbed us and it continues to do so. We understand that we have a justice claim to fight for, right? But with that having been said, fam, there are things that we can do. There are things that we can do. That doesn't mean that they're going to solve every problem. That doesn't mean that it's the end all, do all, be all. But what this means is how do you think we're going to get our peace as a tribe, right? Like the serenity prayer says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That should be the Black people's prayer. God, give me the serenity to accept that I can't do shit about what's going on over in Iran or what's happening in the White House. But give me the courage to cleave to my people, to get a land base, to train, to protect them, to defend them, to love them, to guard them, to hedge them. And give me the wisdom to know the difference. So, fam, with that, I want to thank everybody who contributed via the super chat. Again, if you do decide to contribute later on via Cash App, I see you and I thank you in advance. And those who do the same via PayPal, I appreciate you, fam. I need y'all to spread the word, right? I've gotten a lot of new followers on Twitter. Shout out to my people on Twitter, right? But spread the word, fam. We here solution oriented, right? We angry Black sheep, the outcasts, the ones that everybody wanted to tell don't fit in. We ain't this, we ain't that. Fine, we Black sheep, but guess what? We the Black sheep, the saviors you've been waiting for. We the saviors we've been waiting for. Spread the word, fam. Let people know what we do here. You feel me? Yes, oh boy, reach out to me. Help me to get a crypto wallet. I told you, fam, I don't know a lot about crypto, so I would love some help on that. Sister Monty, you can reach out to me too. I know you mentioned crypto. Reach out to me. I would love to give people an opportunity to be able to help me that way too, should they decide to do so. But more importantly, fam, I want to continue to be accountable to you. I want to continue to be bringing you the information, the data we need. I don't fear nothing. I don't fear YouTube. I don't fear censorship. I don't fear nobody. Let us build. Let us actually plan to do in 2020. Not talk about it, be about it. And with that, family, I leave you as I always do with wishes of love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.